Welcome back, Miles. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me. Really appreciate it.
Sure thing. Yeah, my pleasure, man.
So what basically happened is we did our podcast conversation, and there's just been such an overwhelming response to that we ended up creating a really cool infographic PDF guide of the 5 steps for creating a high converting offer on Facebook based upon the strategy that you outlined in our conversation. So what I'd like to do with you is go through that guide step by step, because this is going to be a companion to that guide, and basically show people how they do these things within Facebook.
I think we should probably put a little caveat for everybody watching. Facebook is notorious for changing the interface. So you're going to just move forward with resourcefulness and adaptability, because they will change the look of this, but the structure, the foundation, and all the steps are going to be the same. They might just move a button around. Little asterisk there. So let me share my screen from here. So your first step is to export out some sort of a CSV file or a text file, or however you can get your email addresses. And you probably want to get a customer list and your prospect list and treat them separately. So you're ultimately going to save each one of those to your desktop. Now, I actually pull only the email record into a .txt file, and then I name it, whether it's a prospect list or whether it's a customer list, and then I upload that file. So it's one email address per line, and it's just a straight TXT, super simple file. I've got a kind of a mock-up here that you're seeing right on my screen, and we just go in and upload that. So let me show you where to go to upload that right now. This is inside of the Ads Manager. I do use the Business Ads Manager, business.facebook.com. It should work just the same regardless. So you want to hit the 3 little lines up top. It gets you the drop downs, and then it opens up all of the different options for you. And from here, you want to go over to Audiences, which is under Assets. Once this loads, the first step is to simply create the audience. Now, our goal is to make a lookalike audience, but you have to start with a custom audience. So the big blue button up top, you just click on Create an Audience, and you want to choose a custom audience. And then it pulls up the options for you. Now, what I do is I just choose the customer file option. That's the easiest. They do have other ones. If you have their pixel installed, you can use different website traffic. So you could create an audience based on people who went to your checkout page, but maybe didn't convert. So that would be based on website traffic. But for this, we've exported a list. So you just click customer file, and then you add customers from your own file, and it lets you upload from here. So here it is on the upload. You simply click the upload file button, and then you search for the file itself. You can see that it does allow you to enter these other items and these other records, but all I need is to match the email address from my database with the email address of their users on file, and then you just click Next. And that's how you get the custom audience created.
Cool.
All right, so then once you have your custom audience set up, you want to wait until the availability shows a little green bubble on the right. The moment you upload it, it's going to be red. And depending on how large of a list, if you're uploading 100,000 records, it'll take longer than if you're uploading 1,000 records. Once it's uploaded, you tick the box next to what you just uploaded, your new custom audience, and then the Actions button drop down pops up. You click Actions, you create a lookalike audience. Now, this gives you a few options as to how you're going to create your lookalike audience. The first option it gives you is the location. So if you know for a fact that your best customers are in the United States of America, target your audience to the United States of America. If you have multiple countries, you can mix them together here. So you could make one audience that encompasses the UK, Australia, the US, New Zealand, etc., Canada. But I personally prefer to break out each country individually. I run them as a separate ad set to test them against each other, because I want to see if one audience is giving me a better ROI compared to the other audience.
And I'm guessing too that you have that in mind when you do your export list for the email addresses. So from your system where your sales are, you export an email address list that's specific to the US, and then you match that with this step, right?
I export one gigantic list of all of my records, and then I allow their system to know, based on where that user is located from their profile information in Facebook, to do that work for me. So I still upload one giant list, and then I just segment it out from this screen. So I would go through this process 4 times over to hit the big 4. And the big 4 are Australia, the US, the UK, and Canada for most English-speaking kind of digital-based products.
Got it. So you basically create, and this is for my benefit because you just explained it very well, but just to make sure I have it correctly, you export one large list. This will include people from everywhere.
Yep.
And then you're going to repeat this step 4 times. That tells it that you want a lookalike audience to focus on the location of the 4 countries that you want to focus on.
Exactly. One process for each. So then we type in the location. So I'm going to do United States. It's going to auto-populate. Now, if you are extremely location specific, let's say you're focused on Manhattan, and you just, that's where you are and that's where your customers are, you can target it down to that actual level if you want. Then we have the audience size. Now, this is a percentage. So it's the percentage of the population that is a match. I always start with 1% because that's going to give us the highest relevance. And everything in advertising is always about relevance. Now, when you get a 1% audience working really well, you can come back and make a 3% audience, a 5% audience. You can make larger audiences in the future, but starting, the 1% is going to give you the best of the best match based on the data points.
And when you say working really well, which metrics are you talking about?
Cost per customer acquisition. Everything I look at is cost per customer acquisition. If I'm putting in $30, I need to be making $30 out. I'm shooting for a break-even funnel is my ultimate goal. Until I have that metric, because there's a period of time when you're spending money on ads and you haven't seen a customer come in, I'm monitoring my cost per lead. And I want to make sure my cost per lead is within my KPI, which is key performance indicator, until I have a data point on my actual sales conversion.
Got it.
So we set it up to just the 1% to start, but when you do want to make it larger, you simply scroll that up. We're going to do the 1%. You click create audience, and that's it. It's going to create the audience for us. You can see it puts the lookalike, it puts the country and the percentage here, so it makes it really easy for you to understand which one is which. And then it takes a while for this to populate. Oftentimes, this will take an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. And here in the US, 1% is something like 2-point-something million records on that. So this is the process. You need to be a little bit patient. You're going to see, although it says that it's ready here, I can go build my advertising campaign now, but you can see it's below 1,000. It says populating here. You really don't want to launch out your ad until that audience has populated. You'll know it's populated when it stops saying populating and it says 2-point-something million.
Got it.
Cool.
All right. So we did step 1, gather the list of emails. We did step 2, create lookalike audience in Facebook. Step 3 is writing the copy for the ad. So this step is more, what's your advice on this? Your kind of top things that you shoot for when you're writing the copy for this ad.
Absolutely. And I think it's great that we even took a moment to come here because so many people run Facebook advertising with forgetting that they need to study copywriting. The nuts and bolts of Facebook advertising is one thing. The art and science and skill of persuading people to take action that's in their best interest, right? Ethical actions in their best interest. That is a whole nother topic. And the first thing is be a student of copywriting. If you're really putting money on the line here, you should be reading the books, the old great books, the Dan Kennedys, the John Caples, the Eugene Schwartz. I'll give you a little list of books that you can pass on to people.
Cool.
So it's incredibly important to be a student of copywriting. Now, what I've put together here is a really basic template that you can use for a headline within an advertisement. One of the cool things with this method is you can actually run an ad that has your sales video. So if you have a sales video that's working, if you've done a webinar that's working and it's proven to work, great. You're going to use that as in replacement of the image and a long copy, but you still need a headline above it. So one of the great, easy, super simple headline structures to use is how our unique mechanism takes a customer avatar from their problem to the solution they desire without their biggest fear. And that template might sound abstract, so I broke one down based on my take of the MemberMouse audience, or at least one little segment. And here's the headline I came up with: how our WordPress membership plugin takes new digital entrepreneurs from overwhelm to successful membership site owners without touching a single line of code. And below this, in the ad, would be the video that has already proven, theoretically, to convert sales on some other form of traffic or on a sales page, et cetera, right? If you can move content onto your ad that's already proving to sell, that's the key. You just got to wrap it in the headline that they have. So this is the top text that would go above that. If you don't have a webinar, if you don't have a sales video that fits, you would follow that headline up with a story. The power of story is amazing in the world of marketing. Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey is the story structure that most Hollywood movies follow, and most of the great advertisements follow that exact same story framework. So you could use, in this situation, the story of, let's say, if you created this out of frustration because you found that all of the other membership programs they required so much code, and that was the story of why you created it. That could be the story you put here. But you can also use customer stories. You can use which is essentially a testimonial of your customer avatar, the 43-year-old mom of 3 who didn't have much time and she wanted to teach nutrition, et cetera, et cetera. So you could use her story in here as well. What's going to happen when the user reads the story is they go on a journey of following this story along of they're a normal person, they wanted to share their course with the world, they ran into a bunch of tech challenges, and as the reader's consuming this story, they're thinking, oh my gosh, she's just like me. They totally get me. And then the hero finds the new tool, which is MemberMouse, and then they're whisked away to the promised land. I'm kind of adding a little bit of brevity and light to the actual hero's arc, because there is a really, really common hero's arc. So study Joseph Campbell and the basics of the hero's journey. You can also watch great movies like Shrek and Star Wars, because they all follow that journey perfectly. Right. So that's just the headline. So that's what I've got from here. I'm not going to fill out a long copy ad. I'm not going to go super deep into this because it's a really deep process to write advertising, right? It's not something you just throw together at the last minute and run with. So with that said, we have one more thing we need to put together before we actually get into the creation process, which is a custom conversion. Now, the custom conversion allows us, or more specifically, it allows our website to tell Facebook when Facebook visitors from the ad take the action we seek them to take. Okay, let me rephrase this in another way. We're going to identify our thank you page after they buy, the page that a user will go to on your site after they purchase, which is the thank you page. We're going to identify that as the goal achieved page. And to do this, we use their custom conversions. So we're going to go back up to the 3 lines up top here, and we want to go to all tools again. And on here, we want to go with custom conversions. So it's in the measure and report column towards the bottom under events manager. Click custom conversions. Now, you have to have your Facebook pixel installed across every page of your website already, which means it's showing up when they're on your shopping cart, it's showing up when they're on your opt-in page, and it's also showing up when they're logged in as a member or checking out. So this tells you how to do it, but we just simply want to click the Create Custom Conversion button. What it's going to do is it's going to pull your pixel automatically. Now, it's going to have a green dot that shows you that your pixel is active. If you see a red dot, that means there's a problem with your pixel, and you need to make sure you get that in the head section. But what we want to do is create a website event based on the URL, which it's already pre-populated for. So what we want to do is we don't want to include the HTTPS or the www. You want to just start with your domain and put your thank you page they're going to go to. So maybe it's Maybe it's just yourdomain.com/thank you. You then name it. Now, this name that you give the custom conversion is how you're going to find it inside of your ads manager. So you would name this as a new customer checkout, or you could call it an FB customer checkout to itemize for FB for Facebook. If you're running one pixel on multiple websites, obviously put an indicator for which website this conversion pixel is on using some sort of an abbreviation. So then you just give it a name, and we choose a category. So on the category for this specific situation, this is actually a completed, excuse me, this is not a complete, this is a purchase. So I scroll down a little bit and I have the purchase here. You can see that they have a lot of pre-made designations. You can set up custom conversions for every step in your funnel, which I highly recommend that you do. So you could set up a custom conversion, you'll notice right above here, for the add to cart, if you have an add to cart process, which would be essentially the checkout page. But for this specific situation, we want the purchase pixel, and then you can give it a value. If you know what your customer value is, you can enter it here. This is going to give Facebook a little bit of a data point on an estimation of how much they can spend. I obviously undercut them a little bit by 50%. So if I'm gonna make $30 on a sale, I'll say $15 per sale is what I want to seed them with. That's maybe that's maybe just something goofy that I made up. Not really sure. Do what you do in that situation, and you can also leave it blank. And then you simply click create, and that custom conversion is then created. So now that we've got our custom conversion set up, our audience is all set up at this point, and your ad's ready. At this point, you're ready to go start your advertisement. So we click on the 3 lines again, and we go to the ads manager. So once you're in the ads manager, when you're ready to create a new ad, simply click on the green create button, and it's going to go ahead and load the quick creation process for me. Now there's 2 separate processes. There's the guided creation that looks a little different. So if your screen doesn't look like this, you should have a switch to quick creation and choose that, because this is how we build the framework for our specific type of ad that we're going to run. So the first thing you do is you name the campaign. And you obviously want to put your brand in. And if you're running ads date specific or to specific products, make sure you can tell based on the campaign level what this is focused on. It's going to help you stay organized later. The buying type, we want to leave as auction, excuse me. And then we want to go down to the conversion, which you scroll down. It's the one with the globe to get to the conversion. And personally, I leave the split test off and I leave the budget optimization off. Then we just set up our basic structure. I'm going to copy the campaign name and paste it in here for both the ad set and the ad itself. And we're going to save to draft. And what this is doing now is it's actually going to move our ad set into the main ad manager, which you can see on my screen here. Now, there's 2 ways. There's 2 little columns here for you to work with. On the left, they're showing us where we are within the structure. So we have the campaign, which is the top level. And you notice it's indented here. This is the ad set level on the second part. And then we have the ad itself as the 3rd level. So we're going to go through these one at a time, but just know as you get indented, you go from campaign to ad set to ad, and you can run multiple ad sets within the campaign, which is what we're going to do today. So you already set up your campaign name. There should be nothing needed to do on the campaign level, so we just switch over to the ad set level. Now, this is the engine room, if you will, within the Facebook advertising mechanism. So the first thing it's asking for, and you can see it's got a red box around here. It says, what is your conversion event? This is that custom conversion you just set up. So you're going to want to click in this box here, and you're going to want to search for or type in what you named it, and it'll populate up for you once you start typing, and then you just choose. And when you get the little green bubble, it says, okay, you're good. This is the most important part in creating a conversion campaign, is to get the right conversion event selected, because this is what Facebook's AI or their machine learning system is going to use to go find you more customers. So we set up a lookalike audience of 2 million, and we're saying, of these 2 million, find me the most similar to people who take this specific action, which is becoming a customer. So Facebook's machine learning is going to look through that population of 2 million at all of the crazy data points it holds on each and every user, and it's going to go find you more people similar to those that convert. That's the power of this type of a campaign. Then we scroll down to the bottom, you have your budget and scheduling. Now, how I run this personally, I run $5 per day per ad set is where I start all of my ad sets. And I simply multiply out the number of ad sets that I'm running, pinning my different audiences against each other. So you remember before when I said that I prefer to run one audience for US traffic, one audience for Canadian lookalikes, one audience for the UK, each one becomes its own ad set. So they're competing against each other. And I start each one off at $5 per day, and I'm watching which ones give me a positive ROI, which ones give me a negative ROI. I turn the ones off that give me a negative ROI, and I increase my budget on the ones that give me a positive ROI. You're generally going to want to let your ads run for about 48 hours before you start to really get good data. Facebook starts by testing different segments within that larger audience to go try and find the best converting segments. And oftentimes it can take 2, sometimes 3 days. So in this time period, you're monitoring your cost per lead. And you should have a good idea already as to what your average cost per lead is, or what a lead is worth to you in your business. This is simple math based on how many subscribers did you get last month and how many customers did you get last month. You just do that little bit of math and you will know what an average cost per lead you're willing to pay is. Now you're going to let it run if your cost per lead is good until you start to see sales. So if you have a $500 product and you're spending $5 a day, that could actually be quite a while before you would spend enough dollars to spend $500 to get a customer. So in that time period, you're monitoring your cost per lead. And if your cost per lead needs to be $1 and it's showing as $5, that's the no-go zone. But if your cost per lead needs to be $1 and you're at 90 cents or $1.03, $1.05, you know you're within that sweet spot that you should be able to ride that out for a longer period of time. I do still run $5 ads on higher ticket products. What I'm looking for is the cost per lead being 50% of what my average lead value is. I'll put more money into that. I'll scale it up to $10, $20, $30 a day, and then I let it sit for 2 more days. And then I see what happened. Did I get a sale yet? Did my cost per lead change? If not, I'll start to increase it incrementally. From $5, you can jump to $20 or $30 a day and not see a huge variance in your numbers generally. But when you get from $30, if you jump from $30 to $100 a day, oftentimes you'll see that Facebook numbers go way out of whack. And what was a 50-cent lead could turn into a $3 lead. After $30 to $50, you want to go up incrementally. $5 to $10 per day is the maximum. I change it. Change your budget once per day and never change another item within the ad set level on an active campaign because it completely restarts the machine learning. And that's our ultimate goal here, is to seed this machine, the Facebook algorithm, the Facebook AI, with our customer pixel, with our audience segments of that lookalike who convert. And when you go change, if you had it from 45 to 55-year-old men and you go change it to 47 to 55-year-old men, you wipe out all of the learning that took place before that moment. So don't change anything within the ad set once it's set up.
Cool.
All right, so we've got our budget set up, and now is the audience. And this is where you want to go in the custom audience. This is where you're going to go pull up that lookalike audience that you created earlier. So when you click, it should automatically show it up below, which mine right here, it's the exact first one that showed up. You simply click on that lookalike audience, and instantly you've now focused this advertisement or this ad set on that one specific audience. Once you have your custom audience set to focus on your lookalike audience or whatever audience you're working on, you have the ability to exclude people who took specific actions. For example, when you uploaded your customer list, you don't want your customers to get ads for the thing they already bought. That's a waste of money. They can't take that action. And this is where the exclude function comes in. So you click exclude and you notice we now have a lower box here. So you can exclude your prospects who you uploaded as a custom audience. You could exclude your customers who you've uploaded. And you can also create an engagement audience of anyone who's engaged on your ad. So if somebody thumbs up or likes or comments, they won't see any future ads. So you simply type in the name of that custom audience that you put in here, which was your email list. Choose the email list, and now they won't see, all of the people on that specific email list will not see this advertisement. The locations, I'm going to leave it everyone in this location because it automatically populated that, right? So I don't need to select the United States here. You can match it. So if you have US here, it says US down here. When you says Canada up here, you just want to change it out to Canada in the future ad set. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. If you have really good data on your best customer segments, you know for a fact, beyond the shadow of a doubt, not guesswork, that your customers are 37-year-old to 45-year-old guys, and you have clear data on that, then you can change the age range. I would be at least 20% wider than you think it is. If you don't have great data, let it be broad. Facebook's machine learning will go test all of the different segments within the age groups to find the best ones. And when Facebook's machine learning sees a pattern in age, Facebook will display you more to the age that tends to convert more. That's the power of this. Same with gender. If you know for a fact, if you're selling men's clothing or like premium shave cream for men, then obviously choose men. But if it's a gender neutral product, obviously leave that gender neutral. I always leave languages blank. And then here in the detailed targeting, you can leave blank because we've already focused our targeting based on the lookalike audience. I will share a quick note in a minute on how to use this when we duplicate this ad set out. This is really about it for the specifics on the audience members, but I always edit my placements in Facebook's. Personally, I want that news feed space. That's the only space that I'm interested in. So I come down and literally untick everything other than Facebook news feeds. With Instagram, if you want to run Instagram ads, you should be separating that out into a separate ad set. Again, we want to test all of these variables individually through separate ad sets. So if you're interested in running Instagram ads, great. Turn it off for your first advertisement and then duplicate this ad set out and go turn on Instagram ads and run it again so you can make Instagram and Facebook compete against each other to see which one brings you the best value for new customers. I never run audience network ads. I don't run any sort of messenger ads. I literally keep it super simple, and it's still working extremely well for me today. You have the option of changing if you want it displayed on all devices, if you want it displayed on laptops, if you want it displayed on iPhones only. You can even get as granular as a iPhone 6s Plus or whatever the new fancy ones are. I personally leave these open, and I don't necessarily go filter those out personally from here. But what I do, if you have a sales video, if you have a kind of a heavy sales video that would require them to spend, 10 minutes watching it or 20 minutes, some VSLs could be 45 minutes, select the only one connected to Wi-Fi, and you have a better chance of catching that individual when they're in an area where they'll be able to consume all of that sales message in your sales video. Down in the optimization and ad delivery, I leave everything as standard. So conversion, 7 clicks, lowest cost. I just let it all run as is. You get charged per impression, which means that you're paying on a CPM basis, which means cost per 1,000 impressions. And I just let this run as is. And at this point, we're done with this first ad set. And what we're creating is a structure that you can duplicate over and over to test all of those little audiences against each other, which you're going to learn at the end. But first, we now need to create our advertisement. So I just clicked on the left, the third layer in, the most indented one, and here's where we actually put our advertisement together. The first thing you need to do is choose your actual fan page that this is going to display from, because every ad is displayed as it's coming from a fan page. So you choose that in the drop down right here up top, and then we have the very simple create an ad. So the first one that's selected is create an ad with an image or video. This is what I run every time. If you've got a sales video, you want to get that in there, great. If you've got imagery, you can just put that right in there. I prefer long text ads with images. I think they just proven by data to work best for my audience, but every audience is different. So you need to test what works best for yours over time. So I'm just going to keep scrolling down, and what it's going to get me to is the actual ad creation portion. And you can see it's got the image selected here. If you have a video to upload, you just click the radio button for video, and it's going to tell you all the parameters, and then you can just select the video and upload it. We're going to use an image for this example because it's easier and you don't have to watch me upload a video. So they have, if you have an image on your hard drive that you think is going to work great, run with it. Remember, you want to get your images to fit in on the timeline. You don't want an image that looks like an ad. This is not a magazine advertisement that's supposed to stand out as a sale or some crazy, something different. Images with humans, with people looking at the screen, that's what people are used to inside of Facebook. So go with what works. And you'll notice they actually have the ability for you to get free stock photos. So it's going to load all of my past images, but I'm going to click on stock, and this is going to allow me to look through for Shutterstock images. Now, let's think about this advertisement. The entrepreneur, the new entrepreneur who's trying to build a membership site. They're frustrated. They want to get it. So there's two sides to that. There's the I'm so frustrated at my laptop look, and then there's the celebrating entrepreneur look. And we'd probably test those two images against each other. So let's just type in frustrated entrepreneur. I might be getting super specific. Let's see what it comes up with.
Hot dogs.
I see a sandwich. No, it's just now loading. That's Facebook's relevance engine going to work for us. So perfect. Here is a great little kind of few examples, and testing your images is so key to your success because the image really is that big, large, attention-grabbing part of the advertisement. I usually test images first before testing a bunch of different ad copy to find which ones get the highest click-through. So another quick note, if you know that your perfect audience is men 35 to 75, you'll want to test having one of them, like a guy who looks like them, but then you'll also want to test a female. There's enough studies out there that say that men and women both click on images of females more often than they do images of men. So I'm just going to go with this one here. She looks like she's had a rough day at the laptop, and that's maybe where we're going to start. But again, you're going to want to test this against the other approaches or the other emotional responses that could be invoked. Once you get your image dialed, you're going to scroll down, and the next field you see here is the text field. So the text is what goes above the image, and this is what I previously referred to as the headline. Facebook's headline, we'll talk about that. It's a little bit different location, but this is the first and most important text they're going to see, because on the actual path of scrolling, when the individual is scrolling on their phone, their laptop, whatever their device is, this is the first text that's revealed. So you can see I've got that text here, but again, this is going to be a long story. My best text ad right here is actually about 800 words, something around 800 words. And it has been viewed millions of times, and it has been running for a year and a half. So when you dial in a great ad that has a long story, it all lives in the text field above here. Then you have the website URL. Now, the website URL is your landing page, where you want people to go. And if you are implementing the strategy of your sales copy is now living in Facebook and you're linking them to your actual checkout page, this URL needs to be your checkout page. But you want to go one step further, and you want to make sure that you're set up as an affiliate within your cart. So what you can do is you put your own affiliate link inside of this website URL field. That way you're able to double check and cross-reference exactly what Facebook's data is giving you. So when Facebook says, we sent you 5 customers last week, you can go double check that through your affiliate account. It also allows you to trigger the lifetime value number so you can track all the way back through your campaigns, which campaigns have the highest lifetime value number right within MemberMouse. Super powerful. Be sure to utilize that. If you're not double checking Facebook's numbers, you're not getting great data. It's that simple. The display link is just that. It's the display link. I always match that up with the checkout page or with whatever landing page I'm sending them to. And then we get to the headline. Now, this is kind of the bold text that's below, and this is where I use my call to action. So if the video has announced a specific call to action, or if my story says, okay, click here and get your 15-day free trial, right? Whatever that actual call to action is, that's what I want here inside of the headline. You can see it automatically populated down here in the bold text what I put on this headline field. You want to utilize as much of the space as you can, and be careful if you put too many characters beyond 2 lines, you just kind of get a dot, 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 and it cuts it off. Don't cut off your call to action. And in fact, you may want to test, instead of click here, putting the words learn more, since that's the click the learn more button. And you want to play with this text. You want to make sure you get the most text you can. Utilize this real estate because it's bold text. There's not much bold inside of the Facebook timeline, so it really stands out. So you can see right here, click the Learn More button to get your 15-day free trial. Perfect. Fits perfect. Looks great. Now I move to the newsfeed link description, which is going to kind of go between these two. It's a little bit of text. You can kind of reinforce the main benefit here. Sometimes when we have a long text, it won't even display this. So let me go ahead and type in a quick newsfeed link description. So as you can see, I entered in the newsfeed link description, and it actually didn't display it here, and that's because my headline is 2 lines. Now, I'm perfectly fine with this. I would prefer to have 2 bold lines here as is. Work with this as you will. You're going to be testing and playing with this a little bit. But ultimately, we're pretty much at the end. So I always use the Learn More button. I think Ryan Dice did a study on that, on how much better the Learn More button did for getting clicks. And at this point, I don't necessarily use much of the tracking. It wants to make sure you have the right pixel involved. And the reason I don't use their tracking is because I'm using my affiliate dashboard tracking, right? I'm kind of taking control of that. And then it's got the right pixel in place, and that's it. So from here, we click Publish. And what's going to happen is this ad and this ad set and this campaign is going to go live. Once I click publish, I'm going to wait until this ad is approved. It could be 5 minutes, could be 30 minutes. I'm going to be patient until it's approved. Once I see it's approved and I can see it's starting to actually get delivery from my ad manager page, at that point, I'm going to go in and start duplicating out the ad set to create more tests against my different lookalike audiences and possibly different interests. Once your ad is actually live, you can see that you're getting displays. The ad was approved. That's really the key we're after. And you're starting to spend a little bit of money on impressions. We want to come in and duplicate. Because remember, we only did a $5 ad. And at $5 a day, you know, if you're trying to scale up to $3,000 a day in sales, or $5,000 a day or more in sales, or even a few $100s a day in sales, you're probably going to need to spend hundreds of dollars a day. So here's the trick, right? What we're going to do is we're going to duplicate out our ad set, and we're going to force Facebook's machine learning system to go work for us 20, 30, 40, or more times at a time. And the opposite of this is to put together one gigantic audience of 20 or 30 million people, which is what most people do, and expecting Facebook's machine learning to be able to sort through all of that noise. Instead, we're going to give Facebook a bunch, 20 or 30 different audiences, and then out of each of those 20 or 30 audiences, we're forcing their machine learning to find us the best of the best segments within each of them. So here's how you duplicate it out. On this little left column, notice I've got highlighted the middle line, which is my ad set level. All I want to do is click the 3 dots to the right, and I'm going to duplicate. Now, it's going to give me an option to duplicate it out many times over. So I could change this to 10 different ad sets at once, but I recommend, if you're new with this strategy, to keep it easy and orderly and organized, to just go one at a time. So I'm just going to duplicate this out one time. And what you're going to notice in that left column we were just operating on, there's now going to be a copy variation. And it's got it highlighted. So right here is my copy variation. And this is the one we just launched out to the world. So If you just created 10 at once, it's going to highlight all 10 of them. So any changes you make is going to accidentally change to all 10 of them. Be aware of what's highlighted here in the left column. So now I'm going to scroll down, and the only thing I want to change is my lookalike audience. Remember, we made a US audience, and then a UK audience, and then a Canada audience, and we want to get them to compete against each other. All you do is you X out of this audience, and you switch it over to the next one on your list, whether that was Canada or the UK, etc., and then you go publish. Here's the cool part. It actually duplicated your ad for you. Not only did it duplicate your ad, it's the exact same advertisement. It's the same post ID, which means that when you get likes and engagements from this ad set, and you get likes and engagements from this ad set, they all build up one ad's social proof. So as you duplicate this out 20 times over or so, you're going to build a lot of social proof to one particular ad.
Now, if you make a change in any one of the ads on the duplicate ad sets, does that change the post ID?
It changes the post ID under that ad set, and it makes a new ad under that ad set.
Right. So
Now,
do you want to avoid then doing that to
Yes.
kind of make sure? Okay.
Yes. Generally speaking, you don't want to make any changes to the ad set or the ad when things are live, because it always resets the algorithm. People think that your pixel is somehow doing the tracking, but you obviously understand a pixel is a static thing that gets planted. There's something else that reads the pixel. That's the machine learning, and the machine learning works and operates at the ad set level. So any changes at the ad set or the ad are going to reset that machine learning, which is a problem. So if you're running a split test on your ads, or you want to run a new split test on your ads, there's a quick way to change. So what you would do is you would make a new ad, and you go obtain that ad ID. You simply click on the three buttons here, and then you go open in a new window, and then there's this use existing post, and then enter post ID. And you go get the post ID from that, and you plug it in here, and you submit it, and it takes over from that same ID. So you can go through one at a time and change out your ad if you want. So once you've duplicated your ad out again, right, you've now set this up as your UK audience. You want to change the title right here. So I'm going to put UKLAL for UK lookalike. And when I click out of the box, you're going to see it updates me over here. So my ad one, I'm going to go ahead and change that to USLAL. So then I'm going to keep duplicating one at a time, and I'll set up my other lookalike audiences based on my other audiences and the locations. Remember, you've uploaded your prospect list, so you can create a Canada lookalike audience for your prospects. You can create a Canada lookalike for your customers, and all of the different countries. Once you have all of your lookalike audiences built, the next place you want to duplicate out to, and I'll do one more duplication with you here, is to get into the interest-based targeting. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to duplicate this out, and I'm going to do one more duplication. So the scenario at this point is that we've now created a separate ad set for every one of your lookalike combinations, prospects, your customers, and all of the different locations. So you might have 8, 10 different or so ad sets running. So if you want to keep spending more, because if you have 10 ad sets at $5 a day, you're now spending $50 a day, which is $1,500 a month. And if you want to increase your ad spend, what we would do is we go down here into the audience level, you X out of the lookalike audience on the custom audiences, and then you go down to the detailed targeting. And you simply put in someone who has the attention of your perfect audience. Now, it doesn't always make sense to include a direct competitor, because the people who like your direct competitors may very well be happy customers of your direct competitors. So you need to think a little abstract in this situation. They have a tool, and I've taught in another video, their Audience Insights tool that teaches you how to utilize this. But for an example here could be, since we're a WordPress membership plugin, we could potentially go after people who like WordPress, because that's kind of one of those things that if you're not on WordPress and you don't get WordPress, there's probably a lower likelihood of you wanting a WordPress plugin to make a membership program. So there's WordPress, and we just select that. And now we've targeted people who like WordPress with our messaging that's talking about building a membership site on WordPress. So these people we know like WordPress, they're going to see an ad about effortlessly building a membership program on WordPress. If they're the right kind of person, they're going to click and take a watch. They might watch your video and go from there. The other thing to think about is authors. I love targeting authors and bloggers who teach the method. So someone who teaches how to build membership programs or digital courses in this example that we're using. That would be someone else I would focus. And eventually what you end up with is a list on this left column of up to 25 different interests. And that's it. That is the big process. It's a process of sorting through the various audiences with low budgets on all of them to find which one of these audiences give me really good ROI and which one of these audiences give me really bad ROI. And then you remove your ad budget from the bad ones and you apply it to the good ones, sprinkle on more ad budget as appropriate. And that is the process to scaling Facebook advertising.
Well, that's just amazing. I mean, I have to admit, my mind is spinning a bit. I can't imagine how long it took you to figure all that out.
Oh yeah, 4 years, $40,000 in education.
I know, right? Like, so I mean, I think.
So here's the funny thing: everybody thinks it's about what we just learned. It's not. It's about the ad. It's about the copy. It's about the story. 100%.
Right. Well, that's good. It's good that it's about that because otherwise, nobody needs to learn anything. Nobody needs to learn to be in tune with their audience and speak to them in the right way.
And deliver value. And like a great sales letter can actually deliver value and offer something at the same time. Right. And it's really, really tough to do. But it's the
same with MemberMouse. I mean, it's not just about installing MemberMouse and then profit. MemberMouse is a tool. It facilitates you being on the road to success. It's your car to get you to the destination.
100%.
Unfortunately, it's not self-driving. Maybe that'll happen one day, but as it is, we're still required to be interactive in a little bit in it. But I certainly appreciate you really taking the time to go through this. I mean, it's pretty much I forgot to get my cocktail, because this is the easiest interview I've ever done. Basically like, okay, Miles,
go.
tell me the secret to how to do all this stuff and then put my feet up.